Welcome everyone to the Proven Knowledge Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Church. I'm a music producer from Northeast Ohio. I began this weekly interview series to give you different perspectives from artists, producers, engineers, and other individuals in the music industry. In each episode, we touch on not only what has helped the person succeed, but we also touch on what has shaped them into the person that they are today. I hope you're able to gain some real proven knowledge from the show, and that it helps elevate you on your own journey to success as well. Let's get into it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 316 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. Today I welcomed B1 the Architect. He is a producer, artist, engineer from Toronto, Canada, and he is someone whose name I saw pop up many times over the course of the last 6 months, doing collabs with the likes of Flashbang Jimmy, fellow connection Young Reese Dude, and a lot of other amazing independent artists, and just putting out a lot of amazing solo material. Someone who is making incredible lyrical hip-hop over incredible production, some by himself and some by other producers as well. And I reached out to him a few months ago, and we were finally able to make the interview happen. We had a really cool conversation. He told me about his different love for a variety of genres, not just hip-hop, but being able to kind of fuse elements of neo-soul, R&B, rock, all kinds of different things. He talked about his band. He's going to be dropping a new album coming very soon. He's got a lot more collab albums planned for the second half of the year. He talked about not just creative strategies, but strategies for releasing music and content, how important it is to plan things, and the differences between, his solo work, what he does on his own, and doing client work, paid work, where people are hitting him up to mix projects, to produce projects, things of that nature. Really just how he's found balance in being able to do those two different things. And B1 is just someone working very hard, and I have a lot of respect for anybody that puts that much time and effort into the craft, and matches my love for the music, and really just matches my love for the style of hip-hop that he's doing. And I'm excited to work with him very soon, hopefully on some music too. I think we could make some really cool stuff. But overall, regardless, I'm just going to keep following his work, supporting his music and what he's doing. And I encourage all of you guys to tap in with him, especially lovers of independent hip-hop, and go get a dose of what he's doing right now, because he's doing some very important stuff. And as always, I hope you guys enjoy this interview. So without further ado, let's get into it. Awesome. So this is episode 316, joined by someone who I'd say probably one of my favorite people doing it in hip-hop right now, both independently and just on any type of scale. Lyrically, with the visuals, doing a lot of projects, a lot of singles. B1 the Architect, how you doing, man?
Good, man. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah.
Always happy to talk to a fellow creative, man.
Absolutely, man. And thanks for wanting to do this. I know we're doing it on short notice, but we did talk a few months ago, so we've been kind of, getting this thing planned out, and happy to have you here. So we usually start by having the guest give some background, brief synopsis. How did you get into music? And what kind of led you to the point where you're at today?
Yeah, so I started as an MC, first writing when I kind of got out of high school. I was pretty young, maybe like 18, 19. I'm 33 now, for context. So, but I didn't start like releasing music or anything like that for many years. I kind of like in the shadows, just kind of worked at my craft. Very quickly, I got into production as well. It took me about a year of being an MC to realize that, no, I need to be an audio engineer and a producer. I need to do everything, because I always had a vision for what I wanted my albums to sound like, and create these soundscapes and atmospheres and stuff. And it was too much. It was very difficult to communicate that in words to somebody and try and get them to translate my vision. So I just realized very early on, I need to learn all these things and teach myself each element of this craft. Yeah. And also, I think what makes me unique as an artist is I come from a diverse musical background, in the sense that, I grew up very into other genres, and hip hop was always something that I loved, but it was just a piece of what I loved. And I try to pull my love from for all these other things into the music I make.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really look at it in terms of boundaries. Like I just happen to rap, but like if I wasn't rapping, I'd be in a band or I'd be making films or I'd be doing something creative regardless. And I just try and take all of that and channel it into what I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been making music since I was about 19, 20, and I started releasing music under B1 the Architect in 2018, 2019-ish. So I would say I've been active on the scene for about 6 years or something like that, 7 years.
I'm curious to know where did that moniker come from? B1 the Architect. How did you decide on that to kind of roll with?
Yeah, so I was B1 in high school. My last name is Blay-Own, and it's spelled a certain way. People used to call me Blay-1 or whatever. So my friend was just like, "Yo, call you something one anyways. Might as well just call you B1." And I was like, "Fuck yeah, I like that." And then so I was just B1 when I first started. B-1, and then I like that, but the problem with that is as soon as I got to the point of like I actually have albums finished and I want to put stuff out, then you have to start thinking about branding and like, do I have the same name as 5 other fucking people and shit like that? You know what I mean? So as soon as I went to put my first album out, it got buried in Spotify behind like 5 other B1s and no one could find my shit. And I was like, okay, let me delete that, rebrand, and come up with a moniker that I think suits my particular talents or what I do. And I felt like the Architect was suiting because the thing, again, that I think sets me apart is the ability to kind of see the bigger vision. Like I produce a beat, I already like hear words on it. I already hear how it's going to sound mixed. I'm like drawing out a blueprint in my mind. So I thought the Architect thing fit. And then, obviously it had the added benefit of being a unique moniker when you combine B1 with the Architect. So, that's basically it. Pretty simple. I just was B1 and then I added the Architect so that I could actually have people find my music.
Yeah. I feel like for not even just Spotify, it's like SEO in general. If you're like searching Google, it's like if you look up just B1, you might get a lot of different things come up.
Oh, 100%. Like B1 Bomber, B1 fucking like a million different like unrelated to music things. Yeah. So,
For sure. As far as like you said, producing, learning to engineer, doing all those sorts of things, I can imagine that helps double, almost even triple your output as well, as far as like being able to put out the amount of albums you've put out over the last like 4 or 5 years. So is that like one of the biggest reasons, or not even reasons, like is that one of the biggest benefits to being able to do all those things yourself, is like you have the ability to put things out whenever you want and kind of dictate the trajectory of where you're headed, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a combination of having the varied skill sets, of course, but it's also a combination of that and the fact that I've been able to, for the last 5 or 6 years, been working from home, primarily doing mixing and mastering as a job, doing video editing and design work and stuff like that. So I happen to be able to be in the studio most of the time working anyways. So I'm just, it's kind of conducive to a situation where I can be efficient. I don't have to cram music in the corners of my life like a lot of people do when they're working full time and have kids and stuff like that. So I've just been able to kind of create a life that's conducive to a lot of output. And not only that, it's just years and years of experience. You get to the point where things are efficient. Like I've built, mixing presets for every single type of vocal I do. Everything I do, I can do efficiently now. So it gets to the point where I'm not really like straining to have a lot of output. It would almost be, I would have to like artificially hold back if I didn't want to release so much. The way I release is just basically coming from the idea of I just don't want music dying on the shelf. You know what I'm saying? If I make it and I think it's good, I don't see the reason not to put it out. So I just keep it coming and I'm able to keep that output level because I've developed an efficient system basically.
Yeah. And I feel like that's how you build momentum too, because a lot of people, and that's the difference between the people that just let it sit in the hard drive and the people that are actually out there. Because once you put it out, that's how the traction starts to build. And it's like that snowball effect over and over and over.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's unfortunate to some degree that is kind of the way you have to do things nowadays. There's a couple of things to do things in the modern kind of social media dominant age, but I think that the only way to do it without just spending a shit ton of money, because one way you could do it is to just have a couple big records, and I've seen this work for people before, is they have a couple big records that they put everything in, and they just put a lot of money behind marketing those couple of records or whatever. and that's viable if you are able to, save money and you have a good job or whatever situation. Maybe you're born rich, who knows? But you're able to put money behind things, and then you don't have to be so prolific of constantly dropping. But the other way to do it, which is what I've been doing because I'm not rich, is I have to constantly, feed the algorithm and feed the machine that governs this stuff content so it can continue to reach new people. And so, yeah, it's become both a business decision and a creative decision, because initially it was just a business thing of like, oh, I need to reach new people. I need to make this a real career. So I need to drop X amount of times. But it got to the point where now I'm so efficient with it that it's like, again, it's not like I'm straining to do it or I'm doing it just because it's a business thing. I like to create. I have all this music, so I might as well keep getting it out to people, right? Like, for context, I have like probably 12 albums I'm sitting on right now, and I have to just find ways to space it out and develop a schedule that works for releasing it. So if anything, I'm holding back with the amount that I put out currently.
Yeah, it becomes like second nature though, because like you said, once you develop a plan, you get the systems in place, then it is just like following the steps, each step, and then you can kind of experiment as you go too.
Once you have a formula for release and for promotion and stuff like that, you kind of get back to being able to focus on the creation side again, which is what we all want to do. Ultimately, as creatives. And I do think, like, as things continue to develop and, you can automate more of the processes of, like, releasing and promoting and scheduling and stuff, it'll help creatives get back to what we do best, which is, in the lab, writing, formatting tracks, structuring albums, shit like that.
A good sidebar question to that would be, as someone that does both work for clients and then your own solo stuff as a producer and as an artist, how are you finding the ways of being able to balance both those things together? Because when a client approaches you, obviously you're executing their vision specifically, and you have to be on point with that because you're getting paid to be on point with that, obviously. I feel like when you're doing your own thing, you have more of the freedom to go whichever way you so choose. So how do you kind of balance the two? And have you faced any challenges with being able to do that efficiently?
To be honest, I've never really had too much trouble balancing it because, number one, the artist side of it comes easy. Like, I don't have to stress about like, oh, I have to make an album. Like, I love to make albums. So it's whatever. I just do that on my own time. So if I wasn't trying to pursue a career, I would do it recreationally. So it's like that's that the artist side of it is just kind of inherent to who I am as a person. I don't I can stack albums all day, so that's nothing. And then when it comes to the client stuff and stuff like that always gets priority because I have to keep a roof over my head. So anytime a client shows up or they need something done, they're at the top of my list, and that's the good thing about the way I do things is like you can ask any client I've ever done work for. It's like you hit me up, you get your shit back immediately because I'm prioritizing the paid work first, and then I'll get back to my art and shit. Like I'm never gonna be like, okay, you sent me an album to work on, let me finish my album and I'll work on yours in 2 weeks. Like, so I always prioritize paid work, and I'm always so ahead of the curve with my stuff that I don't even have to worry about that. You know what I mean? I'm usually my songs are uploaded well in advance. My albums are uploaded. I'm ready to go with my stuff. So I always have time to take on the client work. And I've never really gotten to the point where I've had an overflow. Like even if I had 10 clients hit me up at once, I always make the time. So I personally haven't had that issue yet where it's like really conflicting or where I can't do both. I can only see that being a thing if I was like absurdly famous or something and I just barely had any time. But for where I am now, I can always make time for clients.
Which is great too. And I think that goes back to the importance of the systems, the importance of optimization, and the importance of, like you said, staying ahead on your own stuff to kind of knock those other projects out as well. And speaking of albums, projects, you've already dropped a couple collab albums this year. One just about a week and a half ago with Flashbang Jimmy. And then you dropped one with fellow Ohio artist Young Reese Dude a few months ago. Tell us about both those albums. What was it like working with both those guys on full projects?
So to give some context on kind of the trajectory of what I've been doing over the last few years. When I first started coming out as B1 the Architect, I did a lot of solo albums. I had a lot of like experimental stuff, a lot of stuff that was very much my own thing entirely. And over the years, I kind of got into the zone where it was like, okay, I want to do a bunch of collab albums because I find them very fun to do, because you're taking what you do and your vision, and you're finding ways to make that gel with somebody else and find that middle ground. And I think the two projects that I dropped this year are great examples of that, because I really didn't have to push outside of my own vision or comfort zone very much with either of those guys, because we just got along great. Like, well, I'm real, like, you know, I'm actual homies with both those guys, and so we already see pretty eye to eye on music. Obviously, they each do their own thing in a more specific zone and style, but like my style kind of like overlaps with what they do anyway. So it was like, it was honestly super easy working with both those guys. So shout out to both of them. With Young Reese specifically, like I sent him a pack of beats, and I kind of had a vision for the sound of the project. And he was one of the only rappers I've ever worked with where I just sent him a pack of beats that I envisioned us on, and he was like, "Yep, let's do them." And I don't think there was any. He was like, "Nah," or whatever. So he just picked like, you know, 10 or whatever of the 12 I sent. We rocked them, and it was such a smooth process. I think we did that whole album in a month or something like that. So, and then with Flashbang, he's in Montreal, which is, you know, like 8 hours from me over here, like closer to Toronto. So we did most of the album when he actually like made a trip down, and we did that in person. And working with him was a bit different because he would send me samples, and he had kind of a vision and a sound he wanted to go for, and then I would, you know, construct the instrumentals and stuff around that. So that one was very collaborative from the ground up. Whereas with me and Reese, it was just like, okay, here's a pack of beats. We're both on the same vibe. And it was just, we just flew through that. It was super fun, man. Yeah. But yeah, both projects were great. And I'm always finding collab albums a lot of fun, just because I grew up playing team sports, for example, and I'm a good team player, and I know how to compromise and work with somebody. So I always find the exercise of adapting my style to fit somebody to be a lot of fun. Yeah. But with that said, I do think, I noticed the other day that it's been like 5 or 6 years, or maybe 5 years or something like that, since I dropped an official like solo album. So I think I do got to dig in the bag and give a solo record at some point here. Nice. Granted, I have done like collaborative albums with producers where I'm the sole MC, but it's not quite the same, because when I produce my own albums, I can kind of go really left field and experimental with it in a way that wouldn't be the same. So, but yeah, sorry I diverged from your question there. I kind of got off on a rant, but it's perfect though. It's perfect because for sure. The story is working with both those guys was awesome. Yeah. I think it shows the importance of, for you, like being multifaceted though, because the experience with collaborating isn't always the same for everybody, especially if you're only wearing like one of the hats. So for you, I think the power comes with like, you could team up with one MC, produce the whole thing, and you might not lay a verse on that whole album and just let them do their thing. And then there's other times where you're going to get on the beats and on the mic with someone else. You know what I mean? So there's power to do different things for you personally, which I think is nice. Yeah, no, for sure. It keeps it exciting too. It's like there's, when you, like you said, when you do wear multiple hats, there's different things I can do. I even like sing a bit, so sometimes I'll just do a hook, or I'll just, you know, do this, or wherever I can find a place to add to the song or build something around it. Yeah. Just being able to do multiple things just gives a lot of options and diversity to projects, for sure. Yeah. You talked about, you know, wanting to eventually get back to doing like a solo album, things like that. Have you, I don't know, you might have already done this. Have you ever done an album where you were really just like singing, doing vocal stuff and not doing any rapping at all? Would you ever do something like that? So that's a good question. So I have a band called Blade Runners where I kind of do like progressive rock, industrial influence stuff, some metal influence stuff, but I do still rap. Even when I do other genres, I typically tend to still rap, and that's because, number one, I think I'm good at rapping. In an arrogant way, just like I put a lot of time into it. So I think so too. So you're good. but also I always, like, when I was a kid, right, and I grew up being a hip hop head and also being a fucking metal head and also being a prog rock guy and also being into like jazz fusion and all these other genres. I always, in my head, I could hear like the fusion of the genres and like, why has nobody really done this in the way that I'm imagining it? So you know what I mean? Because everything's always so segregated with the genres.
Yeah.
Like, and even when hip hop does cross over with other genres, it's usually done in a kind of, no offense to anyone, kind of corny way. You know what I mean? Where it's like they don't really understand the other genre very well, so it's kind of like this dumbed down version of it with rapping. That's also kind of dumbed down, and it's like, but I always had the vision of like, what if you just combine high level elite rapping and like understanding of hip hop as a genre with, you know, high level instrumentation and understanding of those genres and shit. So, yeah. So to answer your question, even when I do step into other genres and I'm singing and I'm doing other stuff, I still tend to add rap elements. Not always, but across a full project, I don't think I've ever done a full album where I didn't rap once. Though there's definitely moments on the new like Blade Runner's album, for example, where I don't like I'm just singing or I'm just doing something else. But at some point, I'm definitely gonna rap.
Wanted to take a quick minute out of today's episode to let you guys know of a way that you can support the show, a way that you can donate some funds to us, starting at as little as $5 or more via our Ko-fi page. Now, we've been using Ko-fi now for a few years, and it's been a very effective way to generate some funds that we end up using for, you know, future guests, sponsors, just an overall way to keep this show as quality as it has been for the last several years, and we always appreciate any and all contributions. So if you go to ko-fi.com/The Proven Knowledge Podcast, that's ko-fi.com/The Proven Knowledge Podcast, you can donate, like I said, $5 or more. You know, it gives you that option to do 10, 20, 30, or just type in whatever amount. Any contributions are appreciated, and you know, I do this show from the bottom of my heart for the love of it at the end of the day, but those funds are always welcome because they do allow us to do more and be more flexible with how we continue to grow this platform in the future. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that. The link will be in the description of the show notes of this episode you're listening to now, so definitely check it out. But without further ado, let's get back into the episode. I think the good part, or I always viewed hip hop in general as like almost like the melting pot genre mostly because of like sampling, right? Like from the production side, because they were always sampling, especially like 80s, 90s, they were sampling soul, they were sampling a lot of different genres to create something new. So I think it's like the beauty with hip hop is you can already blend so many genres together. And
Absolutely,
yeah, I agree with what you said about how there is a way to do it where it can work. It's just like, can you execute it at that level that makes sense? So, yeah,
exactly. It's just, can you execute it in a way that's respectful to all the different genres you're covering?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. If you open like a food, like a restaurant, for example, and you're doing some sort of like fusion cuisine, you need to have a really good understanding of like all the elements you're cooking and working with and all the different ingredients. You know what I mean? If you don't understand Vietnamese cooking, but you make like a Vietnamese Italian mashup, people are going to freak out. Just be like, you fucked up that, fucked this up. You know what I mean? You got to understand all the elements and ingredients in order to combine them in your unique way.
Yeah.
And I think just from the background I have, being open-minded creatively, I've been able to fuse elements and genres that most people wouldn't think to like combine in that way.
Yeah.
So I try to take advantage of that.
Keep pushing the boundaries for sure, because I think that's something that is very, very important, personally and just in general for music overall. Pretty cool stuff. And other than like projects, things like that, it could be projects too, but is there anything in the second half of the year here coming up that you're really excited about that you can reveal for us today?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I'm not going to announce every collab project and everything I have dropping because I think think I'm going to have another 5 albums or something this year alone, just because of scheduling.
Yeah.
That's another thing when you're doing a lot of collaborative work, as I'm sure you understand. It's like you're also working with that person's schedule, and they might want to get things out at a certain time. So there's going to be a point of this year where it's probably going to be like month after month I'm dropping a project, and that's just because of the collaborative nature of it and the fact that they need to get something out, whatever. Yeah. So, but to announce something specific that I'm dropping this year, that I'm for sure going to drop this year, it's going to be, I think my new Blade Runners album is the one I'd like to talk about, because I do think we were talking about pushing the boundaries, and I think that is the most perfect example of that. Like it is a boundaryless album. It's complete genre fusion. It's kind of like industrial rock, metal, progressive. There's some, there's influences from so many genres on that album. But it's still rooted in me rapping and like telling stories. And I think it's familiar enough if you listen to my music, where it's not going to be like, what the absolute fuck am I listening to? But it'll definitely bounce off some people, just because it will be radically different from what they're used to. Yeah. But the album's called Sit Back and Relax. It's Just Death. And it's like, it's definitely the most ambitious thing I've ever made creatively. And I'm super excited about it. But yeah, that one's for sure going to come out this year. I also do have a string of collaborative albums that are going to continue to come out. I have one coming next month, I believe, the end of July, with my homie Mark Jordan, also another Toronto MC, very dope underground rapper from up here. But yeah, those two I'll announce comfortably, because the other ones that I'm dropping this year, I don't have exact release dates yet, and I'm not sure. So yeah, but those ones will for sure come out this year, and I'm very excited to show people what I've been cooking up and what I'm capable of, awesome. Especially on that Blade Runners one, man.
Awesome. A lot of great stuff on the horizon then, so a lot of things to get ready for.
Hopefully, so, yeah, man. Hopefully people react to it and enjoy it as much as I enjoy making it.
Yeah. No, 100%, man. And I think it's a great time to start rolling into the last few questions here. These are ones I ask on every single episode. The first one is, if you could go back 10 years ago, give yourself any piece of advice, or maybe not change anything at all, what do you think you would do?
10 years. Oh man, I would do a lot of things differently for sure. It's hard to articulate exactly what I would change, but I definitely know I would change a lot. Because I would like to be in a different place than I am now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As grateful as I am to have listeners and be able to make dope music and do what I do, I would have loved to accelerate this process. And I feel like with the knowledge I currently have, I could have, accelerated this process.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's also part of the journey, and I wouldn't make the type of art I make if I was in a different place or if things panned out differently. So it is what it is. You can't change it. But if I could theoretically go back with the same knowledge, there's definitely a lot of kind of behind the scenes stuff, kind of business decisions, kind of stuff like that, where I would be a lot more knowledgeable, and I feel like I would be able to fast track a lot of things that took a lot longer, because I wasn't necessarily doing them the best possible way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry to be vague. It's hard to narrow down, because we've all made a lot of weird little decisions and mistakes along on the path of being a creative.
Yeah. That's the thing about asking that question, though, is everybody has like a slightly different answer, but there's parallels and there's crossover to everybody's answers, because we all kind of have those moments where it's like, if I could have redone that one thing or those couple things, something would have happened this way. But then you chalk it up to like, when is the perfect time for those things to happen? It might be later in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing too. Who knows if at that time you would have handled it well or been ready for it, even if it did happen the way you wanted it to. Like, there's so many factors that go into it. Absolutely.
I look back for myself sometimes. I think about it. I'm like, I wasn't mature at all. I would have totally fumbled that opportunity. I would have totally ruined that chance that I got way later, because now I know how to deal with it. So
yeah, definitely. There's a maturity factor. I used to drink a lot, so who knows? Maybe if I had like a big opportunity when I was 23, I would have just been hammered and ruined it. Fucking knows, right?
Yeah. If we flip that question though, we say 10 years from now, where do you think you envision yourself musically, but also in life in general?
I would like to be doing what I'm doing now with more fans and more money.
Like, that's not bad goals to have. So
just being able to make the thing I don't want to lose is the ability to kind of create without restraint. You know what I mean? Like, you know, if and that is kind of the beauty of being an independent artist, is any kind of constraint or anything is typically self-imposed. Like, you don't really have to bend the knee to some label or some restriction because someone's telling you how to make your art. Like, so unless you get signed to like a major label or something, you really don't have that pushback, which is nice. But on the flip side, you don't have the engine working for you to reach people the same way. So basically in 10 years, I had imagined myself just independently being able to hopefully expand my listener base, reach people, have people appreciate what I'm making on a larger scale, to the point where I can comfortably support myself and be able to make a better life for me and my family and my girl and shit. That's pretty much it. Just make the best art I possibly can, and you know, hopefully it will take me where I'd like to go.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. And like I said, man, your name just keeps popping up all over the place, at least from what I've seen. So
yeah, man.
It seems like that's
the thing too, is I try to plant little seeds everywhere. Just like, oh, I worked with guys in Europe and every state. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even if you're from nowhere near where I'm from in Canada, like, hopefully at this point you've heard my name or seen my name somewhere because I've mixed a track or produced a track or featured on a track. You know what I'm saying? That was like the world domination strategy, was just like just plant little seeds fucking everywhere, on top of course release my own music. But I just wanted to let people know that I'm a factor in this scene in some way.
Yeah, that's how you do it, man.
I try to just leave a little imprint everywhere.
Absolutely, man. And before we get out of here, do you have any final words of wisdom for the listeners today?
I don't know about wisdom, but I would like to say thank you to you for giving me a platform to ramble on about my shit. And thank you to anybody who's already aware of me and listens to my stuff. Like, I'm extremely grateful to just, you know, have anybody check it out. And if you need anything from me, I'm really easy to reach too. So that's a big thing too, for anybody who sees me in interviews or sees me releasing stuff and wants to get in contact for a feature or engineering or production or anything. I answer DMs. I always check everything. So hit me up, man. If you need anything from me. Or even if you just want to talk and fucking, you know, get to know another creative. I'm very open-minded, very interested in meeting people and talking to people and just building up a scene. I want to build a community that's bigger than just myself or my ego and shit. Like, I'd love to just see people thrive and grow. So hit me up, man. Let's continue to make some.
And you're mostly on Instagram, right? B1 the Architect?
Yeah, B1 the Architect on every platform. I'm pretty easy to find because I added that architect. So
no more B1 bombers.
Call back at the beginning of the interview.
Man. Well, B1 the Architect, thank you, man, for doing this. And
anytime, brother.
Congrats on
another one.
100%, man. I was gonna say we always try to do part 2s eventually. So I know by the time we do part 2, you'll probably have like 30 more albums that we could talk about.
Man.
So
and that's the thing too with interviews. Like, as soon as you get off, you start thinking of all these things you could ask or mentioned or like. So we'll definitely have a follow up, brother.
Just want to say thank you for tuning in today. Be sure to hit that coffee link in the description of this episode if you'd like to donate any funds. And we'll see you back here with another new episode next week. As always, thank you for your support.